Asenath and Joseph. The world had changed dramatically. The Joseph who once wandered as a young shepherd boy across the fields of Canaan, the favorite son of Jacob, was now the mighty governor of Egypt. Second only to Pharaoh himself, he was the same Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned in the darkness of a dungeon. And yet, by the hand of the living God, he had risen to stand upon the grandest stage in the world. After Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's troubling dreams, saving Egypt from a coming famine, Pharaoh bestowed upon him royal garments, placed a golden chain around his neck, gave him the signet ring of authority, and then, as a final gift, he gave Joseph a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, the priest of On. On, the city of the sun god Ra, was a place of golden temples, where every sunrise bathed the towering pillars in light. It was a center of wisdom and ritual, and Potipharah was one of its most honored priests. Asenath was raised among these grand halls and sacred ceremonies. She was beautiful, her skin radiant as polished ivory, her eyes deep as the Nile under a starlit sky, her hair flowing like midnight silk. But beyond her physical beauty, Asenath possessed a spirit that longed for more, a heart that secretly yearned for truth deeper than the idols of Egypt could offer. When Asenath heard she was to marry Joseph, the foreigner who had risen to such heights, her heart trembled with both fear and wonder. Who was this man? Was he a sorcerer, as some whispered? Or was he truly blessed by a God greater than any known in Egypt? When Joseph first laid eyes upon Asenath, he did not see just a woman of noble blood. He saw a soul entrusted to him by the same God who had preserved him. Through every trial, he prayed silently, "O Lord of my fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, grant me wisdom to walk faithfully with this woman, and may she come to know you, the one true God." Their wedding was conducted with great pomp, attended by nobles, scribes, and priests. Yet Joseph remained humble in his heart, knowing that all his glory was a gift from heaven. Asenath, stepping into Joseph's world, quickly realized she was crossing into a realm far different from the glittering temples of On. She saw in Joseph a peace, a strength, a light that could not come from gold or from earthly power. Night after night, sitting on the palace terraces beneath the stars, Joseph spoke to her of his God, the creator of heaven and earth, the promise maker to Abraham, the deliverer of Isaac, the shepherd of Jacob. And Asenath listened. Her heart, once filled with tales of Ra and Osiris, began to stir with a new hope, the hope of knowing the true and living God. Time passed, and love blossomed between them. Not merely a love of beauty or power, but a deep bond rooted in faith, honor, and destiny. Soon Asenath conceived and bore Joseph 2 sons. The first was born, and Joseph named him Manasseh, saying, "God has made me forget all my toil and my father's house." Genesis 41-51. The second son followed, and Joseph named him Ephraim, saying, "God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction." Genesis 41-52. Manasseh and Ephraim grew under the tender care of both Joseph and Asenath. Joseph taught them the stories of Abraham's faith, Isaac's obedience, Jacob's wrestling with God. Asenath, now fully devoted to the God of Israel, nurtured her sons in righteousness, far from the idolatries of her childhood. The great famine fell upon the lands, just as Joseph had foretold. People from distant nations came to Egypt, desperate for grain. Among them came Joseph's own brothers, those who had once betrayed him. They bowed before him, not knowing who he was. And Joseph, after many tests and tears, revealed himself to them. He forgave them, embraced them, and brought his entire family, Jacob and all, into Egypt. Asenath welcomed Joseph's family with an open heart. She knew that these men, flawed and broken as they were part of a divine story stretching far beyond the borders of Egypt. Joseph's father, Jacob, in his old age, laid his hands upon Manasseh and Ephraim, blessing them. And thus, through Asenath's children, she became a mother to two of the mighty tribes of Israel. Years passed. The splendor of Egypt glittered on the outside. But inside the walls of Joseph's house, the light of God shone brighter than any golden sun temple. Asenath lived her days not as a daughter of idols, but as a servant of the living God. Her name was woven silently into the heritage of a people chosen by God, a woman whose heart had turned from falsehood to truth, and whose children would carry the covenant forward into history. Though Scripture speaks little of Asenath beyond her name, her legacy endured through Manasseh and Ephraim, whose descendants would walk through deserts, conquer kingdoms, and one day inherit promises made thousands of years before. Asenath's life is a quiet testimony that no matter one's beginning, whether raised among idols or in foreign lands, the call of the true God can reach into any heart, reshape any destiny, and graft them into his eternal story.